No one has a monopoly on the truth. Our version of our own truths are based on our own lived experiences. In this space, we welcome different perspectives to learn, unlearn, and enlighten. Welcome to The Lantern. Hi everyone, and welcome to The Lantern. I'm so excited that I have my first guest on my podcast. Our podcast topic for today is Home is Where the Heart Is, and I'm joined by my very own mental health and wellness ambassador, Franceska, but who wants to be called Cheska.
Yeah.
Welcome, Cheska.
It's just because I don't want people to call me Fran. That's all.
Oh, okay. I didn't realize that that's like the abbreviation people will go for. So that's why you
Yeah.
prefer the end part to the
Yeah.
beginning.
Yeah.
Okay, fair. I mean, your life struggles are different. My name's like really long, like Khanyi, and then my
Yeah.
surname, right? So it's always been cut off.
hmm
So that's why I just go with Khanyi because it just fits everywhere. Khanyi,
Yeah.
it doesn't fit anywhere.
For the sake of simplicity.
Literally, simplicity, space. I'm just like, it's fine. Abbreviate KT for those that are really familiar with me because this is just long, right? But
Yeah.
yeah. Cool. So I will give a brief intro about yourself, but I don't want to take away from you actually introducing yourself and telling us about your journey. But Teka is originally from the US in New Jersey. She was a professional volleyball player. She studied an undergrad in psychology. She came over to London, still played volleyball, pursuing her master's in.
I actually finished.
Yes, you came to London to pursue your master's. Now you've finished.
Yeah.
You're a grad, and she's ready to take on the world. She
hmm
wants to help people, and that's how her and I met each other because she's keen to help seize the light, advance the initiatives that it's currently doing. But I'll now hand over to you, Teka, for you to give a broader overview of your life journey.
Yeah. Okay, so yeah, just as Kanye had just said, I am from New Jersey. I played volleyball for the past 10 years. I got recruited to play volleyball here for university, and I ended up going for my master's here as well. So now I have my master's in psychology. I just graduated this past September, and I'm retired from volleyball. My knees hurt, my back hurts. I'm tired. I'm exhausted. Everyone's always like, why don't you continue? I'm like, no. I had a good run. I'm honestly very happy with the way that my career turned out. Like, I played for some of the best teams. I met some really beautiful and wonderful people along the way. I had a couple great coaches. Like, I really can't complain. So I just want to stop it there now while I have the chance to end on a good note. Yeah.
Okay, do you want to dive a little deeper into your volleyball experience? I
Mhm.
did find that quite interesting. Obviously, when I received your resume and I saw that you played volleyball, it's quite an odd sports category, but I think is it more of a US thing, would you say?
It is a US thing for sure. It's definitely not as common here. So yeah, I started playing when I was 14, and I started off on like the JV team at my high school, and eventually I was like, you know what? I think I could get pretty good at this. So I started playing for one of the best club teams in the East Coast. I started pursuing, getting colleges to look at me and everything, universities, all that, hitting up recruiters, trying to just get myself out there as much as possible. By the time I was done with my high school career, I had about 30 schools that wanted me. Kind of insane.
Yeah.
But, for someone of my stature, I think that was pretty great, given the fact that I'm only 5'9" and I'm supposed to play the position of the person that's the tallest on the team. But
Okay.
I can say I'm pretty proud of myself for that. And I ended up just going to Stockton University. They were one of the best teams. Honestly, like, they were the best team that I played for by far. They were wonderful all around. My coach was like the most supportive person that you could possibly meet. She pushed me as hard as humanly possible.
Yeah.
She really believed in me. Like, she believed in my full potential. And I feel like volleyball really taught me how to be disciplined in other parts of my life.
Yeah.
I literally eat, sleep, breathe volleyball for a long time. You know, it was get up at 6 a.m, go to school, go to my practice afterwards, go to my next practice afterwards. Like, I played 2 sports at the same time as well. So I was doing track and field for a while. And like, my schedule was definitely packed 24/7. But you know what? I can't even complain because I really enjoyed it. And the funny thing is, throughout the year, like, I really only had about a month and a half non-consecutively off for the entire year because I was just that dedicated to it, which probably explains why my knees are so shot now. But but honestly, it was probably the best thing I could have chosen to do. Like, honestly, I will never regret deciding to do volleyball long term. You know, I really think that it carried me to where I needed to be now in my life. And it's probably one of the biggest reasons why I view life the way that I do, because I do kind of see life as a game, not in a bad way. It's just like not taking yourself too seriously, just enjoying it and pushing as hard as you possibly can, treating everything like as if it's your last opportunity to play.
Yeah. I mean, I love that. I personally love like an athlete mindset. I usually binge watch all those like Netflix documentaries about athletes, just like how they prepare for games. I love the intensity. I love the mindset. Like, I'm really big into my mindset coaching, and like personally also for where I am on my journey, like mindset is everything. I can't afford to wake up and not feel that I'm going to smash the day. But I love that, it's the same for the athletes. And especially like, I think Serena Williams actually said that she meditates before all her, tennis games. And it's also understanding that you need, with all that pressure surrounding you, you need to get yourself into that zone to then shut out all the noise and just be able to perform at your best. So I'm like obsessed. The recent one I actually watched was on a flight, which was Tiger Woods' documentary series. And his one is also pretty crazy. He goes through his whole childhood and how he was basically forced to like practice golf from a very young age and like harness his skills. So I don't know, was it the same for you? Like, how did you actually make your way to something like volleyball? Like, what was your first when was your first exposure to volleyball?
You know what? Honestly, it's kind of funny because I can barely remember.
Oh.
So like, it's so weird because I was very much an arts kid growing up. Like, I was painting for years. I loved singing, dancing. I mean, I pretty much did everything but sports for a while up until I did softball when I was about 12. And our softball team was horrendous. No offense to my girls, still got love for them to this day. But we were a brand new team to the league. So none of us had experience, but all the teams we played did have like at least 3 years of experience already. So we were just getting whooped left and right. But I think like once high school came around, I just had a desire to do more. I know I had a couple friends that were playing volleyball as well, and they were like, "You're tall, like you might as well try it out." And I was like, sure, why not? And, eventually I just grew into it, because at first I was terrible, just like anybody else would be. I was terrible. I just happened to be athletic. So I think I was able to like hold my own. But once I started getting the coordination down, once I started getting the IQ, like once you have a volleyball IQ, that is when that's when you see the sport completely different.
So are you saying that it's more about having a mental strategy when you're playing the game as opposed to the tech? Can you just unpack some of that so we can understand?
So you can be the strongest person on the court, but the fact of the matter is when your opposition has phenomenal defense, that strength is not going to do anything for you. You need to be able to see which parts of the court that you can use to your advantage. So if you see that there's a huge hole in the middle of the court, maybe it's not the time to use strength. Maybe it's the time to just tip the ball, just give it a little, just let it fall, So as you get older, like it definitely is a lot more about strategy compared to when you're younger, because like when you're in high school, most of us are built kind of skinny, most of us are like, actually all of us are pretty much different body types all in all, but we haven't grown into our adult strength yet. So it becomes a whole different game by the time you get to university, especially in my state. In high school, we only play best 2 out of 3 games. But when you get to university, everywhere you have to play best 3 out of 5. So, you have to train yourself to have a much better stamina once that time comes around. You have to start being in the gym. You got to make sure you can run a mile in 7 minutes, You start putting in the extra work to make sure that every game you play, you're giving your best.
But do you think that, building that mental resilience through sport early on in your life helped you for all the, I wouldn't say, like helped you on your life journey? I don't want to call it obstacles because we're not going to talk about that just yet, but would you say that that helped you on your life journey?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Volleyball was one of the most frustrating things in my life. Little do people know, as much as I love it, I also hated it. But that's because I play the position that is like, it's just difficult. All around, it is an incredibly difficult position because we are both the offense and defense of the team. So my position was middle blocker. And oftentimes people make jokes that middles are uncoordinated, that we're not reliable, like we're not responsible. There's like so many different, I guess just nitbits that people have to say about middles. But one thing about a middle, not anybody can do that job.
Okay.
You really have to get trained into it. Like, I will never forget when I first started playing, I was initially an outside hitter. And my coach came to me one day and he's like, "You could jump pretty high, huh?" And I was like, "I guess, like, I don't know." I know I'm kind of new to this. Like, can you explain? And he had one of his like fellow friends come by and watch me practice for a bit. And he was watching my block and he was like, "That's a middle." And I was like, "I don't know what this means, but I guess we're just going to go with the flow. Like, let's find out." And I find out very quickly what being a middle is all about. And I'm just like, whoa, like, this is a hard job. But you know what? I could say with peace, maybe I'm just a little too confident. Maybe I got a bit of an ego with this one. But I really think I am one of the best middles I've met.
I think is it not, because I now say that I think like confidence is earned when you go where you have none. So I think it's not that you have an ego about it. I think it's because you did something that you've never done before. As you said, you started out, you were not that good. You were not that good, but you worked at it to be good, and now you are the best at that role. And obviously, that then brought you overseas, right? So you obviously have to be at the top of your game. So do you want to take us through how you actually made your way to London?
So this was really out of the blue, honestly. So my initial plan was just to go to NYU for my master's. I was going to stay home. I was going to try to move to Brooklyn. I was just going to keep it simple, stay near my family and all that. And I ended up signing up with this like recruitment service that gets you connected to schools like in other parts of the world. So they ask you to upload videos of yourself playing, all that kind of stuff. And next thing you know, I had 3 schools here in London that asked me, like, do I want to come and play for them? And I had to, like, see what the scholarships were looking like, how much it was going to cost, like, what was a visa going to cost, all of that. And I was really scared at first. Like, I can't lie. There was, like, a solid month where I was just sitting there thinking, like, am I ready to just throw myself into a whole new world after I just graduated with my undergrad and I'm, like, just getting settled again? And I decided, yeah, I am. I think that I am because not everybody gets an opportunity like that, and not everybody has the resources to like spend on these kinds of things, I know that this was like a huge financial burden in my eyes, at least, so I had to respect the fact that my dad was going to be carrying most of that financial weight. And when I told him about London and everything, he was like, "Do it."
Oh, wow.
You will do whatever it takes so that you can do this. But he also said, had this been a time where video chat did not exist, he would not have let me go because he's way too uncomfortable with that. Like, he would have been like, "You in a whole other country and I don't even know when I can call you. Cell phones aren't that common, whatever." Yeah, no, he was not with it. But like, all in all, he really wanted to see me thrive. He wanted to see me still pursue my master's as well, because I was really thinking of just taking a semester off and then going in January. But, I ended up contacting one of the schools back. I saw that they had a really decent psychology program and all that. And I was like, you know what? Like, maybe it's time for me to spread my wings in a completely different environment. And the moment that I knew that the opportunity was for me was when I knew I was no longer scared of the idea. and I saw it more as an opportunity or a positive change to my life.
Okay, so take us through your your consideration process,
Hmm.
and you weighing up whether you were ready, because you said that took you about a month. So I am
Yeah.
interested to know what exactly was your internal dialogue at that point.
Yeah. So I would say the first thing more than anything is just missing my family. you know, um, as much as I wanted to live on my own and like be my own adult and all that, but we're living in a rough economy, so it's not that easy anyway. But like as much as I wanted to like leave my family's home and just go be my own adult and do my own thing, it's a lot different when you're in a whole other country. You're 3,500 miles away from home. I don't know. That's a bit scary. You have to try and build up your own family and, like curate a new environment that you feel comfortable in, like fully. You have to learn what the customs are in a whole new country. You have to learn
Yeah,
like what the social values are, what the laws are even,
yeah,
like
yeah,
you have to go kind of the extra mile to make sure that the place you're going is right for you. And I guess for me, I stopped thinking about whether it was right for me
yeah,
and I started thinking more about whether or not it was going to elevate me as a person. So I was thinking at the end of the day, I can get my master's out of this and I can continue to play volleyball. And COVID took away a year of volleyball from all NCAA athletes across America. So we
yeah,
were all like devastated, because we work so hard just for this sport that a lot of people may see it as silly, but
yeah,
for us it's like our life. And to me, I was like, this is another chance for me to spend an entire year in the one thing that I love the most, and that is competing in volleyball. Because you can just go play any day, you can go join a club team if you want, like you could go
yeah,
to the beach and play, but it's not the same as having a uniform and having a team that you like build trust with, and a coach that you can trust as well, that sees your full potential.
yeah.
So I think in my mind, I was just thinking, this is a chance that I may never get back again, honestly. And I really wanted to take advantage of that.
Okay. So I'm interested now to know, tell me about your initial reaction to London when you touched down at Heathrow for the first time.
Yeah. Well, I know I told you briefly.
Yes, we have
um,
discussed in school for
Definitely insane.
this.
It was a 10-hour flight. What was really great about the experience is that my dad came with me.
Yeah,
Like I feel like most of the times when you've hit adulthood, you're just kind of expected to do these things completely on your own.
yeah.
And I've never flown by myself at that time in my life. So
Hmm.
my dad wanted to make sure that he was there for me every step of the way, for me getting settled in, getting my groceries when I moved into my dorm, my
Yeah,
bedding, my clothes, all of that kind of stuff. He wanted to take me all around London. He was like, let's go look at the touristy stuff so that like what's around. And yeah, that was like really comforting. What made it hella funny was coming out of the airport, and the moment we step outside, like the moment we're breathing London air, was hearing two girls talk about how they were going to smoke a cigarette butt that right off the floor. Like that was insanity. But I can't lie, it was really funny because it was just like, wow, okay, this is where I live now. I've never seen this before, but at least I'm gonna see some new stuff. At least I'm gonna experience something different. And I think what made it extra funny was just the fact that my dad was like, these are your ends now. Like, this is your home. So start getting accustomed to this. Yeah.
so what would you say home meant to you back then?
Man, it's really hard to say. It's honestly really hard to say. I feel like no matter what, I struggled with a physical home for a few
Hmm.
years because, you're living on and off campus constantly. For 4 years straight, I was moving on and off campus every summer and winter to be at my family's home. But, I also have a sister and she has my bedroom. So as soon
Okay.
as I moved to university, like she had that room and they were just like, it's okay though, there's bunk beds. So you get to stay in the bunk bed. I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
That's cool. But I'm also an adult that wants my own private space. So I never fully had a space, at least for the past like 6 or 7 years now. I never really fully had a space that's my own, that's permanent. you know?
Mhm.
So I think for me, home was really just about my comfortability and who's around me. I really
Mhm.
do think the people, more than anything, determined my comfortability. So even though I didn't have my own room in my house, I was still around people that care about me and support me and love me dearly, you know? And even when I was living in university, I had amazing residents. I was an RA for freshmen, and they were wonderful girls. Like I had 17 beautiful girls that were constantly supporting me and sending me love and everything. Like
Mhm.
literally a month and a half into me being an RA for the first time, they threw me a birthday party. And you know, these girls didn't really know me from a hole in the wall,
Yeah.
but they came to my volleyball game that day. They made posters. I still have the posters to this day. I have all the cute notes that they wrote me. And yeah, like it was just a beautiful moment, I would say. Like I think I really just determined home by the people that I'm around, and also just loving myself more than anything. I think that's like number one. As long as I know that I'm okay, as long as I express gratitude every day for the fact that I still have all my limbs, I still have all my five senses, I have the intelligence that I have so many privileges that a lot of people don't have. As long as I express that gratitude, I think I'm always going to be happy with my current situation, you know?
Yeah. I love that. And I think it's like that for most of us who have left home. Definitely, I think you begin to interrogate the concept a lot more. And I think that's what sort of like motivated me to write that note because I've been confronted with this question, I think 5 years now.
Hmm.
And also, I think when you go back home, there's that difference in this is no longer feeling like your home because things change.
Yeah.
So tell me about your first experience when you've gone back to the US since you've been in London and how you actually perceived your home, the US at that point.
Yeah. So I was gone for 2 years. You know, it was my first time coming back home only this past November. So it was very strange. Like I felt like I was where I was supposed to be in a way. Like I knew everything that I was seeing, but there were just so many things that changed as well around me, like whether it just be the stores or like the kind of people that I was seeing. I will say one positive thing was that the culture never changed. Like the people are still super kind where I'm from. Like you could just walk into a store and some old lady will come up to you and be like, "What do you think is better, this product or this product?" You know, like it's that really happy-go-lucky kind of energy that's in my hometown. So that
Yeah.
was like really nice to experience again because London does not have that vibe whatsoever.
Yeah.
And I think being back home reminded me of my inner kindness and how to bring that out because London, I feel like hardened me a bit. I
Yeah.
can't lie. Like I was so used to just smiling at people in the streets and like saying, "Hi, how are you? Like, have a good day," whatever. And like, you know, these are complete strangers that we do this to in my hometown, but like it's normal for us. Like we just want to be kind. And I'm not saying that London isn't kind at all, but I won't say that people are jumping and happy to
Yeah.
interact with each other. You know, people are
Yeah.
very individualistic here and people are
Yeah.
very quick to just keep it going. They have tunnel vision on. They're trying to get to their destination. They just want to get home. They want to get to work, whatever it is. They
Yeah.
probably have 15 different things going on in the back of their mind because, you know, everyone feels like they have bigger fish to fry here. And that's completely fair, honestly, because even I've become that way since coming here. But
Yeah.
when I did go home, like, I really feel like it revitalized a part of me. I feel like it reawakened the kindness in me that I feel like I didn't get to practice as much while I've been here. Because I mean, 2 years is a long time. I can't like two
Yeah.
years is a long time in
Yeah.
an environment like this.
Yeah. No, I mean that's true. I kind of had a similar experience to you when I went to Sydney, Australia. I was there for 2 years. I can't say the C word because in this podcast may get censored, but that is the main reason why I also kind of stayed there as long as I did.
Mhm.
Until I decided, look, it's not really working. I've lost lots of oxygen. And when I say oxygen, those are things that keep me alive. Kind of have to go and try and regroup and see what I actually want out of life. So I
Mhm.
definitely do resonate with that. When you're away from home for a long time in a certain environment, it does become a bit reflective.
Mhm.
So now that you've been in London for as long as you have, what would you say home means to you now?
To me, it's really just about having the right support system. It's all about surrounding yourself with things that you really enjoy more than anything. Like, I know that it can be hard, especially in London, because it's just expensive here, point blank, period. You know, like it doesn't get more complicated than that. So sometimes it can be hard to indulge in like the hobbies that you typically enjoy, you know. But for me, I know I put a lot of work into self-care. Like, any chance I get, I will take that hot bath. Any chance I get, I will make myself some mac and cheese because that's one of my comfort foods, you know. Another big thing, like, I sell incense with one of my like old bosses and everything, and I love having a home that smells good. Something as simple as that, I'm grateful for, and I can just sit here and be like, yeah, at least my room smells nice. Like, at least my room is clean. Like, you know. And also just like making the right connections out here. I think that's like one of the biggest things. It can be very difficult to make friends, especially as an adult, you know. Now that I've hit 25, like, it is only getting a bit harder because I feel like we have a lot more standards the older we get. We start to recognize what we really and truly need and want in our lives. And I really want people with the same mindset as me. Like, I love a go-getter kind of mindset. I love someone who truly does not let anything limit them, because I feel like I don't let anything limit me, you know? And I feel like I'm lucky to say that I have a couple friends here that genuinely have that mindset and really think that they can do anything that they set their minds to. So when you have people like that in your life that are positive and consistently remind you of your worth and how beautiful you are as a person inside and out, I really think that can help a lot. And also just reminding yourself too, because there's not always going to be people in your circle. You know, there's not always going to be someone that can give you all that support. You have to love yourself first before you can receive love from others. And I really feel like me putting in the amount of work that I have to continuously appreciate myself, love myself, and express gratitude has really brought me to a different height, you know, of comfort. You know, I know that home is in me more than anything. So yeah.
I really love that, and I think that that's very true. And I think it's one of those, when you move away from home and detach from your family and your friends and everything that's familiar, that's when you have to sort of learn how to hold yourself,
Hmm.
which is a very uncomfortable experience, to be fair, because I mean, the last time you probably had to hold yourself is when you left your mother's womb, but then, you know, you were
Yeah.
coddled and you know,
Yeah.
it was quite a warm environment. So it
Yeah.
wasn't like too uncomfortable for too long.
Yeah.
But I think like the next time you experience something like that is when you do leave home. But
Hmm.
I think that's why you have to have intrinsic motivation and a goal that is a goal that is so big that it's going to push you and propel you no
Hmm.
matter what's the circumstance, because you and I both know being overseas is not easy. Like, people think it
At
looks so
all.
easy, but they don't know the, you know, the everyday reality and the challenges that comes with the experience. But at the same
Hmm.
time, weighing up that you have to take the opportunity when it presents itself.
Hmm.
I think that those are all things that, you know, people need to keep in mind and take into consideration.
Yeah.
So what I want to know from you now is, what advice would you give to yourself prior to you moving to London? Would you say to yourself, and knowing everything you now know about what life is overseas and all the challenges, what is your internal dialogue with like baby tech?
You know, I would have to say I'd probably just tell myself, stop thinking so damn hard. You know, stop panicking. Like, it's okay. Everything works out. And it's so funny because I know this deep down in my heart anyway. Like, I feel like a lot of people could probably relate, especially like on a religious or spiritual level. You know, like people who trust God or whoever their God is, if they believe in the universe, whatever, they know that everything works out no matter what. And you are exactly where you need to be. Even if you don't feel like it, it will make sense later. And I feel like throughout the moments where I really, really struggled while being here, like the moments where I felt really alone, is where I experienced the most growth. You know, that uncomfortability is genuinely what propels you into realizing, like, I need to do something. I need to change something. I want more for myself, you know? So really the number one thing I would tell myself is stop panicking. You got this. Everything works out. even if it doesn't seem like it, it will. Okay. I have been through hell and back. I feel like everyone can say that for themselves. You know, everyone has been through hell and back in their own way, but we're still here. We're still alive. We're still kicking, you know, like we got this. And I feel like I just need to remind myself sometimes, like, it's okay. If you need to cry, go ahead and cry. If you're missing your family, tell them. If you miss your friends, tell them. And just lean on the people who matter the most to you. Make sure you lean on yourself too. It's okay. Breathe and keep it pushing.
I love that. And I love that it's, really been such a great character developing experience for you.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but what would you say to people who maybe think that it's not for them or it's not worth it or that they maybe might not survive the experience?
Mm. Okay. Well, I guess that depends, really. It depends on the person more than anything. If someone feels like they're not ready, I want them to think, when do you think you'll be ready?
The answer
Because
is never.
exactly, like you're always going to feel like something is in the way,
Yeah.
right? And I think it's important to remind yourself that when an opportunity comes, you take it, no matter how scary it is, you
Yeah.
know, and you don't want to live your life full of regrets. I can peacefully say, like, I genuinely feel blessed to say that I have no regrets in my life because I know that I am the person that I am today because of every single thing that I've experienced, both good and bad. So I take it in stride and I tell myself, like, hey, you love yourself right now, right? You like the way things are going one way or another. So there's nothing to complain about. There's absolutely nothing to complain about. You know, like I
Yeah.
went through these things for a reason. And even if the reasons in particular are not clear to me now, they might be clear later. And even if they never become clear, who cares? Because I like who I am. I like the way things are going. So if there's anyone out there that feels like they're really scared, like like I'm talking a cat with the tail between their legs type of scared, just remind yourself that you are capable of doing anything that you want. Your only limit is your own mind. And it's not worth letting your mind try to convince you that you are worthy of anything less than the opportunities that come to you. So do it. Take a leap of faith. Like, as terrifying as it is, like, sacrifices sometimes have to be made in order to see the results that you want. So just do it. Just do it. If you know you can do it, do it.
I love that. And, I also am a huge advocate of people having these life experiences. I mean, I haven't decided or signed up for any of my life experiences. I just sort of, find myself in them and I'm like, this would have been nice not to have happened, but
Yeah.
we don't get to choose.
Yeah.
But I think that once you're in the experience, my philosophy is you always owe it to yourself to leverage it for
Hmm.
everything it has, rinse it for everything that you can,
Yeah.
because you don't want to be on the other side of it and have you say to yourself, "Oh, I coulda, woulda, shoulda," because
Yeah.
then that there's no point in doing that. You don't want to, be in regret. But that's why I'm also like a very huge advocate of mindfulness and mindset,
Hmm.
because I think that those two things combined help you match and meet the moment.
Hmm. I would
But I
say,
think,
like, oh
yeah,
no, go ahead, go ahead.
no,
I was gonna say, like, in moments where I work with people that really struggle with, you know, self-harm or considering suicide or anything like that, I
yeah,
think one of the most important things that I consistently say to people, even people that like aren't really struggling with mental health like that, I tell them that they owe it to themselves to see things get better. Like, genuinely, it is your life. And
mm,
the only thing that you have control of is yourself and your emotions. So the least you can do is try to make it better, you know? Like, I really
yeah.
feel like we all deserve to see things get better, like, no matter how hard things get. And I know it can be so easy to fall into the negative side and just say, like, you know what, I give up. But nothing worth it comes easy, right?
That's
It's going to feel so good when you're at the top or in your vision of success, and you can look back and say, like, wow, I made it. You know, I got through it no matter how difficult it was. Like, you were at your lowest of low points ever, but you still got out of it, you know?
Yeah. I loved it, and I thank you for dropping all your little gems. I think that it's helpful to hear from people who've been along the journey, and I also think it's important for people to be a bit more honest and a bit more vulnerable about the about life experiences, because I think I've never really been one of those people who's like, oh, it's so amazing, it's so lovely. I'm like,
Hmm.
listen, I will tell you the honest truth. I will tell you the good and the bad, because I think there's duality in every circumstance.
Hmm.
And you need to know that bad things are really going to happen. But as you said earlier on, that's actually where all the character building happens. So you can't sort of like
Exactly.
pick the bad parts and then, get all the good character traits that come from those things. That's just not possible.
Yeah. Plus,
Um,
life would be boring if everything was good all the time.
Look, I think people on the outside are probably thinking we just really love too much adventure at this point. So I don't know. Maybe they're like,
I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Sometimes spontaneity is necessary. Like I said, you need to experience these things to experience growth. And the last thing I would want for myself, at least, is to get too comfortable, right? We
yeah,
need at least a tiny bit of stress to be motivated, to get things done. So, as painfully optimistic as we sound about how to carry ourselves through life, sometimes that's the only way to get through it, like there's not enough face masks in the world and hot baths that I can take that can fix everything. Sometimes I just have to tell myself, I have to snap into it and be like, I got this. Let's keep moving forward. And it may seem like too optimistic, it may seem like toxic positivity to some people, but what other option do you have,
yeah,
I'm definitely always going to, I guess, acknowledge my negative emotions. I'm always going to validate my emotions. When I'm going through the worst of the worst, I'm always going to sit here and be like, dang, this is tough. I'm going to give myself the moment to cry or
yeah,
to wail or whatever I need to. But at some point, you do have to pick up yourself and be like, now it's time to move. Now
yeah,
it's time to make the next step.
yeah. So I'm interested to know from you, do you think it's best to have these experiences young? Because I mean, I like you also, I think I left home at 25. Was my first
Hmm.
year. That was my first year when I moved. I was that age. So do you think it's better to have those sort of life defining moments of moving countries or doing something different early on? Or do you think later on it's probably best?
I think as early as you can do it, do it. I genuinely believe that with my whole heart, soul, and mind, because I feel like as we get older, it gets a lot more difficult to be spontaneous. It gets a lot more difficult to just pick up and do whatever we want, especially those who, get married or have kids and all that. Like, you tend to feel like you have obstacles in the way, and it might, I guess, cut your creativity a bit. It might cut your inspiration or passion for life a bit. I'm not saying that people, with kids and marriage and all that don't have any inspiration or don't have any passions, but you have different priorities when you get to
Yeah,
that point in your life. So, like, unless you decide that you want to carry yourself through the rest of your life with no marriage, no kids, like no specific priorities, of course you can do whatever whenever you want. But I would say going through these kinds of experiences from like 18 and up all the way to like 30, it's the best time to do it genuinely, because that is when you're still developing the most mentally, right? Like, our frontal lobes are not done developing till we're 25. So, you get to learn a lot more. You get to take in everything a lot more. You get to appreciate the things around you a lot more when you're a bit younger and you see the world for what it is.
I love that. And I definitely agree with you. I would love for you to let our audience know three self-care strategies that you implement that keep you afloat and you maintaining being the best version of yourself.
Mm, I feel like I have a lot. I can't lie.
That's why I said three, because I know.
I am genuinely the definition of self-care. I cannot lie. Like, um, I think anything involving beauty,
Yeah.
more than anything, like getting my eyebrows done. I
Mhm.
walk out of my little salon like I am the baddest in the world. Getting my nails done, I feel like, oh, y'all can't touch me. Like, But doing something to my outer appearance
Yeah.
definitely helps me like appreciate my beauty, I think we should all definitely look ourselves in the mirror and be like, that is a beautiful individual. I like the way that this is going. Doing my little skincare routines and all that, that's definitely one of the ways. Another way is meditation for sure. I feel like sometimes we just need to take a second to appreciate the silence or just appreciate maybe nature sounds. If you want to go into the park and just listen to birds chirp and the leaves fall in the wind and all that, I really think that is probably, I would actually put that above my self-care. I can't lie. I would put my meditation above self-care because I feel like we have a lot going on in the world constantly. There's always something yapping in our ears constantly, whether it be like our friends' struggles, our own struggles, seeing the news. Lord knows I don't like watching the news because I'm just constantly bombarded with negative things. Work, school, whatever it may be, there's always something just going
Yeah.
off in your head. And
Yeah.
getting to meditate is one of the best ways to just sit in silence, just enjoy your own existence,
I
just
just have to
enjoy.
say that I have to let the audience know that I didn't tell you to say that because this may seem very biased given
Oh,
what People
really?
Life is about, but we have not rehearsed this part because it just seems very promotional. And I'm like, we did not rehearse. She does not have a script from me. I didn't even know this about it. You actually didn't tell me any of this. So I'm literally like, okay, I didn't even know that about you.
Oh no, I didn't even think about that,
Because now you're an ambassador. People might be thinking now this is like an ad campaign. It's like not really. I didn't even know any of this about you. Like,
Yeah,
so please do carry on as you will.
yeah. And pretty much just taking the time to do any of my hobbies. I like doing anything that requires like, I'm not going to say brain dead work, but something that you can clear your mind with. So
Okay.
I love plants. I love harvesting plants. I love harvesting flowers.
Mhm.
And sometimes, like when I buy like a bushel of lavender or something, like I just take the time to pick off the lavender and, I put it into a little bowl or a baggie or whatever, and I use it for whatever I need to later. Just doing little things like that where I can appreciate my silence and a small task, because I feel like we are constantly bombarded with big tasks every day.
Yeah. Yeah.
Whether it be from work or just existing in general, like, you have to cook every day to sustain yourself. That can be tiring
Yeah.
already. Like, I'm gonna do it because I have to live.
Yeah.
But, like sometimes those things can feel frustrating. It can feel like, gosh, like I have to do this again. I have to make my bed again. I have to do
Yeah.
this again.
Yeah.
But I think romanticizing your life can really help, like changing your perspective on how you carry yourself throughout your life is very important. So I just try to take the time to tell myself, like, enjoy it while you can. There may come a time where I can't do this,
Yeah.
There may come a time where I won't be able to just freely walk around my kitchen and blast my music as loud as I want and, make some spaghetti. Like, so I just try to enjoy every moment that I can.
Okay, thank you for sharing that with us. And as I said, that was not prompted by me, no scripts. That's just her on her own. We just happen to have similar aligned self-care strategies. So what is your perception of your home, the US now?
Mm. Well, it's looking crazy over there. I can't lie.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
um, Not just like New Jersey, but like the whole of the states right now.
yeah,
Obviously, is not looking too good in certain sectors, but I feel like that's the whole world,
yeah.
really. I feel like every single country has their politics that they're dealing with. So right now, I still love home. I still miss it constantly. People constantly ask me like, when am I coming home? I have my friends calling me every single day. My dad calling me every single day. When are you coming home? Like, have you decided? Did you get a job yet? Did you do this yet? Did you do that yet? Like, you know.
Yeah,
So when I think of my hometown, like it really does have a special place in my heart, and I know that's just because it's what's familiar. I'm
yeah,
sure it would be like that no matter where I come from in the
mm,
States. But I definitely miss the support system that I have there because they are my number one. Aside from me, but
mm,
like they are my number one. And I feel like I really appreciate the fact that I have so many people in my life that are supporting me in my endeavors. Like, as much as they miss me and as much as they want me home, they also support what I want to get done here in London. So I feel like I miss them to death. I appreciate them. I'm grateful for them. And I want them to know that I will be home very soon. Don't worry. In the blink of an eye, like before you know it, I will be home. I will have finished all the tasks that I want to get done here in the UK. And it's going to be back to being baddies together, honestly. Me and my friends are definitely going to have the time of our lives when I come back permanently.
So would you say for you that is the like long-term goal is to then go and make the US your home? Is London more your interim home now? And is that just because that's where your life goals are at the moment, or is there other like personal reasons that you feel that way?
Honestly, I mean, I've said this to everyone in my life. The US is not my end all be all.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a bit more comfortable in certain ways. You know, like here in London, I know that it's not sustainable to live here long term, realistically.
Mm-hmm.
Financially, it is a burden, and
Mm-hmm.
weather-wise, it is very much a burden, you know. Um, and also like socially, again, I feel like I'm very different compared to like someone who was born and raised here. So the way that I see life is it's a stark difference for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
Um, I would definitely go back home for some time,
Yeah.
but I do want to live in other places. You know, I definitely want to
Okay.
expand my scope of the worldview. You know, I want to see different cultures. I want to see
Yeah.
how other people live, how
Yeah.
other people see happiness, how they I want to see everything,
Yeah.
honestly. Like
Yeah.
I just want to be able to open my eyes to more possibilities than ever. And I feel like if I had a chance, if I have another opportunity to do it, I will do it. You know, if another school popped up out of nowhere, like if Germany hit me up one day, it was just like,
Yeah.
hey,
Yeah.
you know, volleyball again, I'd be like, dang, that's rough. My knees hurt, but I'm gonna do it. Like, I'm gonna do it. But
Okay.
yeah.
Are you comfortable to share some of the places that you may want to live in, or I'm just interested to know maybe like cultures you're interested in learning more about?
hmm So, right now, I am not particularly picky about where I would go. I've been
Mhm.
doing some research, but something that needs to be taken into consideration for someone like me is that I am Black, I am a woman, and I am LGBT. So, at the end of the day, I need to be in a place where I'm accepted, and I need
Mhm.
to be in a place that is open and understanding of me and my walk of life. So
Mhm.
I would really hate to end up in a place where I'm not fully accepted and I might put my safety at risk. And I would really hate that for, you know, my family and friends as well, because they'd be stressed out every day. They're already
Yeah.
stressed now with me in London. And I'm like, hey guys, don't worry. Like I'm safe for the most part. I think I'm good.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
God forbid I end up somewhere that I don't need to be. I just don't want that to be the case. So I'm just kind of doing my research and seeing which places I think would treat me the best and I'll go from there. But you know what? I've heard that like Ireland is quite fun. So I think I would want like to visit there at
Yeah.
least to see what
Yeah.
it's like.
Okay. I mean, that's interesting that you take into consideration how you'd be received. I think it's one to definitely do research about, but I don't know about, anecdotal evidence. I think probably hearing from people who've actually lived there and experienced the culture,
hmm
probably a lot more credible. Because I know for myself, like when I was moving to Sydney, people had lots to say about it, and I have a lot of contrarian evidence based on what I'd actually been told about that experience and how it would go. Like some of the things that I think people understand about the place are actually not true once you've actually
hmm
experienced it. And I think also then coming to London, London has its own, issues and perception. So it doesn't necessarily mean one place is better than the other. And again, I
hmm
mean, if I was to even compare South Africa,
hmm
again, also has its own complexity. So I think like it's not, this is why I don't think it's worth getting bogged down as to like having roots and saying this is your home, because every place has its own complexities. I think like at the end of the day, you need to decide for yourself, are you willing to work through what it takes to sustain yourself to be in that environment. But at the same time, you also need to know what is your oxygen.
Right.
So, home is where the heart is. Where do your hearts lie? And if your hearts are your oxygen and they're close to you and you survive, that's fine. If you can't survive, you need to make it work for you. But I
Right.
do think that everyone there's a lot of emphasis placed on home and, oh, I can't be here. I couldn't do that. And I'm like, I wouldn't get too bogged down about a lot of things unless you've spoken to someone who's actually lived there and also walked the walk like you, a Black LGBT woman.
Yeah.
I would not take it as gospel. I would definitely go and experience it for myself.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. For sure. Because I feel like I could luck out and end up somewhere where most people wouldn't technically be a fan of
Yeah.
due to like their background as well.
Yeah.
So and also like the laws of the land, you got to take that into consideration too. I know one thing that I've always told myself, like I would never live in Hawaii because I know how it affects the economy there. I know how it affects the locals. Like it's little things like that that I want to take into consideration when I move forward when it comes to just finding a new place to live, I guess. Yeah.
Okay. Well, as we, wrap up this podcast, is there anything that you would want to share with our viewers? Anyone who clicks on this, sees this title, thinking, what is this about? What is the one takeaway from you that you would want to leave with our audience?
One, home is where you make it. Okay. Home is what
Love
you
that.
make it. Home is
Love
when you make it.
Oh,
Doesn't matter. You make it. Okay. That's one. Two, it is your life. Do what you want. Genuinely. Don't let anyone stop you from doing what you're passionate about. Don't let anyone get in your ear about what is a good idea and what is a bad idea. If you feel in your heart, soul, and mind that, you have a business venture that's going to work out, like, or something at work, asking for a promotion, anything big, small, doesn't matter. Go ahead and do it. Follow through. You owe it to yourself to at least try. You owe it to yourself to see things get better. And you owe it to yourself to live the best life possible. So it's your life. Don't let anyone else dictate it but yourself.
I love your takeaways, and I definitely don't have any more to add. I mean, I'm obviously very biased because you are one of the ambassadors, so we do share a lot of the same views and perspectives on life and just mindset. But I've said to you this obviously offline before that, I think that you're definitely going to do big things, and I'm very excited for everything that you have to contribute. So yeah, I don't have anything further to share with our audience. Obviously now it's like it's time to go. But other than, I think mindset is everything. Everything is what you make it. And accepting the circumstances for what is and not what you believe it should be. And seizing every moment.
Yeah, I strongly agree. Yeah.
Well, Teka, thank you so much for being my first guest on my podcast. I'm obviously super uncomfortable because I've also stretched myself in my new podcasting host role. But as we say, we don't grow if we don't do things that make us feel uncomfortable. So thank you for being my first guest. We look forward to revealing who our next guest is. And everyone, please stay tuned and for our updates at Seize the Light as to who our next guest would be, what topics we're going to cover. We've got lots of exciting things coming up for the month of March. And yeah, take care of yourselves, and we will see you on the next podcast. Cheska, I'll let you say bye to everybody. I'll let you bye now.
I appreciate you guys listening to the podcast, and I hope that I was able to inspire or motivate you guys to just live the way that you want. And if not, just remind you if you're already that kind of person that is motivated. So yeah, and definitely keep up with the podcast. I'm sure that there's going to be so many amazing people coming up for the next few episodes. And honestly, Khanyi is a wonderful person and a wonderful host as well. So I feel like there's always something new to learn out of these podcasts, and I really hope that it ups people's productivity and happiness overall. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody, for listening, and we'll see you on the next podcast.
Woo!
Thank you for listening to this episode. Seize the light within yourself. With love, the lantern.